Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to Lean In with Commissioner Henry E. Brooks. And I'm your host, Commissioner Henry E. Brooks. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you stopping by our podcast. Today, we're going to take part two of our voter education series. Now, you remember on part one of voter education, we were talking about all of the different ways that your vote connects to elected office and those who are running for elected office. I'll just for a little recap. We need to do a little recap. We talked about connecting voting to survival issues and issues of concern to you and your community. In fact, I don't want to spend too much time on this because we have a lot to cover today. But I do want to recap for those of us who might need to hear it again. We need to connect voting to survival issues and issues of concern to you and your community. People who are running for office. You have all kind of. In fact, we'll get to that list that will be up in May. But we need to make sure that the people who are running for office are representing our concerns, the things we care about in our community, uh, and in our neighborhood, and just in the environment and in all of the areas we are concerned about. Um, Election day, I want you to remember how we vote on any election. Remember this, the way we vote on any election today is connected to our reality tomorrow. So how you vote, and we'll talk about getting into that, but that voting determines your reality tomorrow, what it's going to be like. We emphasize and I emphasize voting, and I keep pressing this voter education series because voting is your power. That's how you claim your power. That's how you make your voice heard. And that's how you state how you want your society to work, how you want what you want in your society, and how you want it done, and who you want to do it. Again, we're talking about connections between key issues and elected officials. So let me talk about coming up in May. We have the May primary. You'll have a Democratic primary and you'll have a Republican primary. And some of those offices, in fact, we can just say right now, all county offices will be up for election in May. So I would suggest, let me submit to you, it's time to start doing your homework. Even though candidates will not be able to pick up petitions until December 22nd. So we'll talk about those, but every level of county government will be up for reelection. The county mayor, the mayor of Shelby County will be up, and all 13 commissioners. You have 13 commissioners. They will be up for reelection. Not only that, you will have the county trustee, the county register of deeds, the sheriff, um, the assessor of properties, which is, they're all very important, but all of these people will be up for uh, election. Now, what's your role? What do you need to do? Number one, do your homework, do your research. It's important. People will be coming to you asking for your vote. They'll come by your church, they'll come by your sorority, they'll come by, they'll see you out in the community asking for your vote. Well, I'm going to encourage you to please, you need to get to know them. What is their agenda? Does their agenda align with yours? Invite them. If there's not a forum going on, invite them, any candidate that wants your vote. They're running for county commission. They're running for mayor. Invite them to your church. Invite them to your sorority. Invite them to a gathering for a question and answer session. It's important that you, the voter, the taxpayer, it's important that you have your own independent knowledge, not what someone told you, not what you got from social media, please, And by all means, not from one of those pieces of paper, if you will, a ballot that they pass out at the poll. It's important for you, the voter, to know the candidate, what that candidate stands for, if that candidate is on the same side of police services as you. Do they believe in under policing, over policing? Do they think we should have a police chief or police director? Do they believe in global warming? Do they believe that our education system needs to be restructured? Do they think that maybe we need to have more funding for education? Uh, just a whole host of issues. And community development. Do they believe that neighborhoods, particularly historic neighborhoods, blighted neighborhoods, do they have a plan to address issues, problems that maybe you have pointed out that are problems for you and your family, you and your community, you and your organization? So we all have a job to do. The candidates out there campaigning, but you need to be asking the questions so that you'll know when you get ready to vote, you'll know exactly what they stand for. Most importantly, as I said earlier, please do not base your vote on a social media post, okay? Not unless you've already done your homework or maybe you agree with that social media post because you know that candidate. You've had a conversation with that candidate. But if you have not, it's incumbent upon you to find out for yourself who these people are, what have they done, what have they done in the community, what work do they have to show that they can stand for election, that they can represent your community and represent it well. Did they just jump out of the society pages, walk out of the sorority or the fraternity? So again, we want to make sure that people that we put in office are people who that we know will serve our interests, particularly our economic interests. And we've talked about this last time, but I just again want to briefly recap uh, the mechanics of voting. Number one, please get your voter registration status checked. It's easy to check it. Go to shelbyvote.gov. And that way you can find out if your polling place has changed, if there's anything different, okay, if you're voting on election day. So make sure that you've done that. Or if you've moved, did you remember to change your address? The proper ID. That's another thing that we need to make sure we have because you have to have it. You can have a driver's license, a passport. In fact, you can have an expired driver's license, but it has to be a state issued ID, not a library card. No, unfortunately. So we got to make sure we have that because they will ask for it. Now, if you got that, that's fine. You cannot use my students, college students, you cannot use your college ID. It has to be a state issued ID. Uh, Another thing I want to remind you is that when you get to the polling location on election day and you find out you've forgotten your ID, don't panic. Don't panic. Ask for a provisional ballot, a provisional ballot. And that will allow you to go ahead and vote. And then you have 7 days to return to the appropriate location with your ID. Okay, everybody got that? We all clear. So if you've forgotten your ID, it's election day, no other time to vote. You need to ask for a provisional ballot. Now, let me say this. That's why I always recommend voting during early vote. Yes, because if you vote during early vote, you have 10 days. So if you get to a polling location and you've forgotten your ID, then what? You have another day, several more days. So I always take advantage of early vote, and they will publish the early vote days when we get closer to election. So we're running a little bit short on time, but what I want to do is give you some key dates. I didn't get an opportunity to do this last time, but I want to let you know that I said this earlier, candidates will be able to pick up their petitions on December 22nd. Those are the people running for office, okay? So that means you can see who's running for what, okay? And then the first day to request an absentee ballot is February 4th. Now, who wants an absentee ballot? There will be some students who are off at college. And let me say something about that. Now, if you are a student, first time voting, off at college, you will not be able to request an absentee ballot. First time voters, college students must vote in person for the first time. After that, you're good. You can request an absentee ballot. Okay. So now, senior citizens who just don't want to get out, want to stay at home, you can request your absentee ballot beginning February 4th. Now, if you have relatives who may be, say, in nursing homes or in senior facilities, they can also request an absentee ballot. And they'll send the absentee ballots, and they have a little process the election commission does that will take care of that. And your seniors will not have to get out in the environment and so forth. All right. Now, the next deadline I want to mention is the qualifying deadline. The deadline for candidates to say what office they're running for. That will be February 19th. Okay. And so we know after February 19th, no other candidates can get in any race. So if they're in the race or have not gotten in the race by the 19th, you can't get in. That's it. And that's good for you because that helps you to start knowing and start doing your research on the candidates for these various county offices. Now, they do give them an opportunity, candidates that is, to withdraw from the race. Just say that I decided to run for mayor. And then I find out, well, I don't have the finances. So they'll give them until February 26th to make a decision to withdraw from the race. So there's another list you have to look at. By the 26th, you may have a different list of candidates for each office because some of them may have withdrawn. So again, we have to do our homework and we got to be responsible because it's just not as simple as going and pushing the button for someone's name. We need to make sure we know who's running for what. And let's not make mistakes and say, well, I thought Henry Brooks was running for mayor. I don't see her name on the ballot. Well, guess what? She withdrew. We didn't know. So we need to emphasize these dates. Now, voter registration. You have until April 26th to register to vote. If you have not registered, you have until April 26th. I'm going to say, when you check your registration status and you find that you've been purged, go ahead, go right to the election commission or go online and register to vote. Okay? We need to do that. You got until April 26th to do that. In addition, you have early voting, which will start April 15th. So you have until from April 15th to April 30th. Oh, they have 15 days. You have 15 days to do your early voting. And as I said on part one, I encourage you to do that. We never, ever know what's going to happen. If we have children, there's always something last minute. But early voting is your easiest and your best opportunity. Why is that? Because you can vote anywhere, any of the polling locations. They have polling location. It may be about 11 or more, but you can vote at the polling location that is closest to you, most convenient for you. I love early voting, and I encourage you to take advantage of early voting. And of course, we know election day will be May 5th. May 5th. And May 5th, you will have a Democratic primary and a Republican primary. Normally you do. And what that means is when you get ready to go to your polling location, you get ready to cast your vote, you go in, the registrar will ask you what primary. That means do you want a Democrat card or a Republican card. The biggest change this year, to my knowledge, is that you will have a primary for the Republican and the Democrat school board races. Okay. So let's just be aware you'll have more people running for school board positions. So that means we'll just have more candidates to look at. It's nothing to fear, it's just being responsible. So we talked about the 13 commissioners that you will have to elect, the assessor of property, county trustee, the sheriff, and we know we want to make sure that we get the best candidate for all of these races. And the only way we can do that is to do our homework, make sure we know that this candidate, what they stand for, where their concerns are, what their agenda is. The juvenile court clerk, all of the clerks, the county clerk, the probate court clerk, uh, the criminal court clerk. So you have school board, and from school board to county mayor. Those are offices that you have an opportunity uh, to do your homework, go to the polls and elect. Now, I need to remind you that, as I said, there may be some changes, and the only changes as of this week are the Democratic and Republican primary for school board. So don't get thrown off when you see that. It's just a change that the party made. Uh, Now, before we go, I want to remind you to please prepare. Again, we can't emphasize that enough. Voting is not just about politics. It is not. It's about whether you're going to get a health care clinic in your neighborhood, where you're going to go to the doctor, whether or not you're going to get the kind of policing you're going to get, whether or not you're going to have access to healthy foods. Voting is about all of our survival issues, our concerns. Are we going to continue to have to live with blight in our neighborhoods? We will, unless we do our homework and elect candidates who have blight remediation as one of their agenda items. I cannot say it enough. The only way you'll know is to do your own homework. All right, we're almost out of time for this episode, but again, thank you so much. And there are a couple other things I want to mention before we go. I want to talk about next time inmate voting. You do know this is why it's so important that we pay attention to the agenda of folk who are running for office. Let's just look at the sheriff. When we talk about inmate voting, do you know that individuals who are in 201 Popular, those individuals, not all of them have been convicted. So what does that mean? It means that they have the right to vote. But unless the administrator or the sheriff is willing to advocate and work with the election commission to make sure the election commission gets their process over there to them and get all of the paperwork done, it won't happen. And we certainly do not want to deprive anyone, whether they're in 201 or not, of their right to vote. If they can vote, they should be able to vote. So we're going to talk about that process, and I'm going to be appealing to some of our pastors. Hey, pastors out there. I'm going to appeal to you all to work with us to help us maybe get the administrators of all of these facilities where we have individuals who are inmates, if you will, and have not had their voting rights taken away. We want to make sure they have the right to vote. It's in the law. It's in the law. So if it's there, let's do that. Let's make sure that they have an opportunity to vote. So again, next time we will cover that, and then we'll try to pick up on some other things. Had some questions from people about some of the issues around voting, connecting voting to issues. We'll deal with some of those next time on part 3. Thank y'all so much for stopping by this podcast, and I hope you will do it again next time, and just wherever you get your podcast, you'll see us there. Lean in with Commissioner Henri E. Brooks. Thank you.